Take a good look at this plane. Looks pretty normal, right? Like something you take on a quick domestic flight. But what if I told you this one jet is about to completely redraw the world map of aviation? Yeah, this seemingly ordinary plane, it's a total revolutionary in disguise. I know, it sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? Which brings us to the big question we're tackling today. How on earth can a plane with just one aisle, you know, the kind you're used to for short hops, suddenly fly as far as a massive jumbo jet? You know, the funny thing is, this whole revolution kicked off without much fanfare. On June 15th, 2022, the Airbus A321XLR had its first flight. There were no huge press conferences, no big spectacle. It was quiet. But trust me, for anyone inside the aviation industry, this was a massive deal. Like, one of the most important moments of the entire decade. Okay, so to really get why this plane is such a game changer, you have to understand a huge problem that has been giving airlines headaches for, well, years. It all comes down to what you could call the range versus revenue dilemma. All right, let's talk money. For any airline, one cost towers above almost everything else: fuel. We're talking about 30% of their entire operating budget. 30. So every single drop counts. Imagine flying a gigantic, half-empty jumbo jet across the Atlantic. For an airline, that's not just inefficient, it's basically like lighting a giant pile of cash on fire. So this put airlines in a really tough spot, especially for what they call long and thin routes. Think about a direct flight from, say, Portland, Oregon to Manchester, England. There's demand, but not enough to fill a giant Dreamliner every day. Using a big widebody is just overkill. You're burning way too much fuel for a bunch of empty seats. The other option, like the A321LR, was way more efficient, but it had a huge flaw. To get that extra range, they had to stuff extra fuel tanks into the cargo hold, right where they're supposed to be making money from freight. And that trade-off, it became incredibly painful. Especially after 2020, air freight just exploded. It became a goldmine. I mean, on some of these long-haul routes, the cargo carried in the belly of the plane was bringing in up to 40% of the flight's total income. So suddenly, choosing between fuel and cargo wasn't just a tough choice, it was a massive financial blow. Clearly, the industry needed a better solution than just more fuel, less money. And that's exactly where Airbus stepped in, with a brilliant piece of engineering that, honestly, changes the whole game. Meet the secret sauce: the rear center tank, or RCT for short. Now, this isn't just another fuel canister you can plop in and out. No, this is different. It's a permanent tank that's literally built into the airframe itself, right behind the wings. It's not an afterthought. It's a core part of the plane's DNA. And the results are just huge. Get this. This one smart tank does the work of 4 of the old removable ones, but it only takes up the space of 2. And the best part, it completely frees up that precious cargo space. So for the first time, airlines don't have to choose. They get the passengers, and they get the profitable cargo. Oh, and did I mention a whopping range of 4,700 nautical miles? It's the best of all worlds. Now, for anyone who's a bit of an aviation geek, this quote says everything you need to know. The Boeing 757, man, that plane was a legend. It was famous for being able to fly these long routes from smaller airports that other planes just couldn't. It was an absolute workhorse. The problem? It's old tech. The XLR is basically the modern-day 757 that airlines have been begging for, but it's way, way more efficient. We're talking 25% better fuel economy. This is literally their dream plane. Okay, so we've established it's a super efficient plane. That's cool. But the truly revolutionary part is how this one piece of tech is about to completely flip decades of airline strategy on its head. Seriously, we could be looking at the beginning of the end for the giant airport hub as we know it. Think of the A321XLR as a strategic scalpel for airlines. Before, opening a new international route was a huge gamble. You had to commit a massive jet like a 787, but now they can test a route, say, from Austin to Dublin, with way less financial risk. They can keep those long and thin routes running all year, not just during the summer rush. And here's the best part for you and me. It lets them bypass those crowded, chaotic mega hubs entirely and fly us point to point directly where we actually want to be. And hey, this isn't just some theory. It's happening right now. Airlines are scrambling to plan these new routes. You've got legacy carriers like Iberia connecting Madrid to Washington, D.C. Air Canada is looking at linking Toronto to smaller spots in Europe like Malaga. You've even got low-cost powerhouses like Indigo planning to connect India with Central Asia and Eastern Europe. From LATAM in South America to American Airlines in the US, everybody wants in on this. The world map of flights is literally being redrawn as we speak. Right, so this is all fantastic news for the airline's bottom line. But let's get real. What does this actually mean for you, the person who's going to be sitting in seat 24B, for maybe 8, 9, or even 10 hours? Well, this is where things get interesting. Let's talk about the passenger paradox. It really comes down to a big trade-off. On the one hand, the pro is absolutely amazing. More nonstop flights to more places. That means no more miserable layovers, no more 4 a.m. wake-up calls to catch a connection. But there's a con, and it's a big one. You'll be spending all that time in a much narrower single-aisle cabin. You know what that means in economy, right? If you're not in the aisle seat, you're doing that awkward, "Excuse me, sorry, can I just squeeze past" dance with 2 other people every time you need the restroom. And even up front in business class, the seats are going to feel a bit more snug than what you'd get on a big wide body. So that's the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? What do you value more? A bit more elbow room, or getting to your destination hours faster without a layover? The entire airline industry is placing a massive bet that your answer is, give me the nonstop flight. Okay, let's pull back for the big picture here, because this isn't just about whether your seat is comfy or not. This is about one plane completely rewriting the rules of the game for commercial flight and reshaping how we travel for decades. And in this new game, Airbus is playing in a league of its own right now. Boeing's main competitor, the 737 MAX, it can't touch the XLR's range. It's not even close. And Boeing's next big thing is still stuck on the drawing board, years and years away. This has handed Airbus an absolutely huge competitive edge. Just how big of an edge are we talking about? Well, industry experts think Airbus could have a complete monopoly on this type of plane for the next 5 to 7 years. In the aerospace world, that is an absolute eternity. It's more than enough time for them to completely own this entire new market segment. And there's another massive piece to this puzzle, the environment. Compared to the older, thirstier jets that it's replacing, the A321XLR slashes fuel burn per seat by around 30%. For an industry that is under huge pressure to get greener, a number like that is a gigantic selling point. So it all comes back to where we started. This plane isn't just a new piece of hardware, it's a whole new philosophy for connecting the globe. By making it possible and profitable to fly directly between smaller cities, it's directly challenging the whole hub-and-spoke model that has defined air travel for half a century. The real question isn't if things will change, it's how much. What does the future of travel look like when the mega hub is no longer king?